Captain Jake Sullivan walked through the long hallway of the Galactic Council building. His boots made soft sounds on the metal floor. The walls around him glowed with a strange blue light that came from alien technology he did not understand. He had seen many strange things during his 20 years in space, but this place still made him feel small. Behind him walked Admiral Lisa Carter. She carried a small data pad in her hands. The information on that pad could save millions of lives or start the biggest war the galaxy had ever seen. Lisa had read the file so many times that she knew every word by heart. The Zephyrian Empire was planning to attack Earth. They had to be stopped. The council chamber was huge. It looked like a giant bowl turned upside down. Strange creatures from across the galaxy sat in floating chairs that moved without sound. Some aliens looked like giant insects. Others were made of crystal that sparkled in the light. A few looked almost human but had too many arms or eyes in the wrong places. Jake had never gotten used to meetings like this. Every alien species looked at humans like they were children playing with dangerous toys. Most aliens thought humans were too young and too violent to be in space. Today, Jake hoped they were wrong about the second part. Dr. Ben Rodriguez stood next to Lisa. He had spent his whole life studying alien minds. Ben knew how different species thought and acted. He had warned Lisa that this meeting might not go well. Alien empires like the Zephyrians did not listen to warnings from species they thought were weak. A loud sound filled the chamber. The air in the center of the room began to shimmer like water. Slowly, a huge figure appeared. It was Vex Theron, the High Commander of the Zephyrian Empire. His body was made of living crystal that changed colors as he moved. Red meant anger. Blue meant calm. Right now he was bright yellow, which meant he thought something was funny. Lisa stepped forward. She felt the eyes of hundreds of alien creatures watching her. Some of them could destroy Earth with a single thought. Others controlled star systems with billions of people. But none of that mattered now. She had a job to do. Honored members of the Galactic Council, Lisa began. Her voice was steady and clear. I am Admiral Lisa Carter of Earth. I come here today with an important message for the Zephyrian Empire. We have learned that your forces are planning to attack our world. I am here to ask you not to do this. Vex Theron's crystal body turned bright red. When he spoke, his voice sounded like breaking glass. You dare come here and threaten us, little human? Your pathetic world is nothing. We have conquered 17 star systems. What makes you think you can stop us? Jake stepped up beside Lisa. He had fought in 3 wars and seen things that would give normal people nightmares. But looking at Vex Theron made his skin crawl. The alien was so sure of himself, so certain that nothing could challenge his power. We are not threatening you, Commander, Jake said calmly. We are trying to warn you. Earth is not what you think it is. If you attack our world, you will regret it. This is not a threat. It is a fact. The sound that came from the Zephyrian delegation was horrible. It was like the sound of 1,000 pieces of glass breaking at the same time. It took Jake a moment to realize they were laughing. The most powerful military force in the galaxy was laughing at Earth's warning. Commander Amy Foster watched from behind Jake and Lisa. She was Earth's top military expert on alien warfare. Amy had studied every battle the Zephyrians had ever fought. They always won because they had better weapons and more ships. But Amy knew something the Zephyrians did not. Technology was not everything in war. Vex Theron's color changed to a dark purple. Ben whispered to Lisa that purple meant the alien was feeling superior. Humans, the crystal being said with disgust. We have watched your species for many years. You fight each other over small pieces of land. You destroy your own planet for profit. You build weapons to kill your own kind. What could creatures like you possibly do to us? Lisa looked directly at the alien commander. She did not blink or look away. You have studied our wars, Commander. But you have not understood them. Yes, we fight each other. Yes, we build weapons. Yes, we compete for resources. Do you know why we do these things? Because you are primitive and violent, Vex Theron replied. His crystal body was now glowing bright yellow again. No, Lisa said quietly. Because we are very, very good at it. Every human child learns about war from the time they can walk. Every human adult has seen violence. Every human knows how to fight because we have been doing it for 50,000 years. We fight each other because fighting is what we do best. The chamber became very quiet. Some of the aliens looked worried. Others looked confused. But Vex Theron just laughed louder. Do you think your primitive weapons scare us? Our ships can destroy continents. Our soldiers wear armor that your bullets cannot break. Our technology is thousands of years ahead of yours. Engineer Pete Wilson stepped forward for the first time. He was a quiet man who built spaceships for a living. Pete did not like giving speeches, but he had something important to say. Commander, you are right about our technology. You are right about our weapons, but you are wrong about something else. You think technology wins wars. Of course it does, Vextheron snapped. Superior weapons defeat inferior ones. This is the law of war. Pete shook his head. Technology helps win battles, but wars are won by the side that refuses to give up. Wars are won by the side that keeps fighting when fighting seems impossible. Wars are won by the side that would rather die than surrender. Commander, you have never fought a species like us. Jake decided it was time to end this meeting. The Zephyrians were not going to listen. Their pride was too strong. Their confidence was too deep. They could not imagine that a species they thought was primitive could be dangerous to them. Commander Vextheron, Jake said in a formal voice. On behalf of the human race, I give you this official warning. Do not attack Earth. Do not send your ships to our system. Do not land soldiers on our world. Earth is a trap. Not one we built on purpose, but a trap just the same. If you come to our world, you will not leave it. Vextheron's body turned completely red. His voice became so loud that it hurt human ears. How dare you threaten the mighty Zephyrian Empire? Your weak species will be destroyed. Your world will become a slave colony. Your people will serve us or die. The human delegation turned and walked out of the chamber. As they left, they could hear the Zephyrians still laughing. Lisa felt sick to her stomach. They had tried to prevent a war, but they had failed. Soon, the most powerful military force in the galaxy would attack Earth. Outside the council building, Pete asked the question they were all thinking. Do you think they understood anything we said? Ben shook his head sadly. They understood the words, but they did not understand the meaning. They think we were trying to scare them. They think we were bluffing. Amy looked up at the alien sky. Strange stars and unfamiliar moons hung in the darkness above them. Somewhere out there, the Zephyrian Empire was preparing for war. They will learn, she said quietly. When they get to Earth, they will learn what we really are. Jake put his hand on Lisa's shoulder. You did everything you could. We all did. The warning has been given. What happens next is up to them. As their ship left the Galactic Council station, the human delegation prepared for the journey home. Earth would need to get ready for war. Not the kind of war the Zephyrians expected, but the kind of war humans had been preparing for their entire history, the kind of war that humans always won. 3 weeks had passed since the humans left the Galactic Council. The Zephyrian war room buzzed with activity day and night. Hundreds of crystal beings moved through the massive space, their bodies glowing as they worked. Giant screens showed maps of Earth's solar system. Every planet, every moon, every asteroid had been marked and studied. In the corner of the command center sat General Kate Morrison. Heavy chains held her to a metal chair that was too small for human comfort. The Zephyrians had captured her 6 months ago during a border fight between human and alien ships. They kept her alive because Vextheron enjoyed having a human prisoner to mock. Kate watched the aliens prepare for war against her home world. She had been a soldier for 30 years. She had fought in battles on 6 different planets. Kate knew what war looked like, and she knew the Zephyrians were making a terrible mistake. But every time she tried to warn them, they just laughed at her. Vextheron stood in the center of the room like a king surveying his kingdom. His crystal body was bright gold, which meant he was feeling very pleased with himself. Around him, his officers reported on the progress of their invasion plans. Everything was going exactly as the High Commander wanted. Your species amuses me, human, Vextheron said to Kate without looking at her. Did you really think your pathetic warning would frighten the Zephyrian Empire? We have conquered worlds that your people cannot even imagine. What makes you think Earth is special? Kate did not answer. She had learned that talking to Vextheron was useless. The alien commander could not understand anything that challenged his view of the universe. In his mind, the Zephyrian Empire was perfect. Their technology was the best. Their soldiers were the strongest. Nothing could defeat them. Sub-Commander Zixanala approached Vextheron with a data pad in her crystal hands. She was smaller than the High Commander, but her body sparkled with the same arrogant light. Sir, our intelligence reports are complete. Earth has approximately 200 million soldiers spread across their military forces. 200 million, Vex Theron repeated with amusement. And how many warriors do we have ready for this invasion? 50 million of our finest troops, sir. Each one equipped with plasma weapons and energy shields. Our battle analysis shows we will achieve total victory within 10 days of landing. Kate almost laughed out loud. The Zephyrians thought they were facing Earth's military. They had no idea what they were really walking into. Earth's military was just the beginning. If aliens invaded Earth, they would not be fighting soldiers. They would be fighting every human being on the planet. Another Zephyrian officer approached the command group. His name was Commander Kexalatin, and he was in charge of weapons research. Hi, Commander. Our analysis of human technology is complete. Their most advanced weapons are primitive kinetic projectiles and chemical explosives. They possess some nuclear devices, but nothing that can penetrate our shields. What about their space forces? Vex Theron asked. Laughable, sir. Their fastest ships move at barely supersonic speeds. Our fighters are 10 times faster and 100 times more heavily armed. Their largest warships are smaller than our smallest patrol boats. This will not be a battle. It will be target practice. The crystal beings in the command center made their terrible laughing sound again. Kate closed her eyes and tried not to listen. She remembered the classified briefings she had attended before her capture. Earth's greatest secrets were not weapons or ships. Earth's greatest weapon was something the Zephyrians could never understand, because they had never experienced it. Vex Theron walked over to Kate's chair. He leaned down so his crystal face was close to hers. Tell me, General Morrison, what do you think of our invasion plans? Do you still believe your world can resist us? Kate looked directly into the alien's glowing eyes. I think you should listen to the warning my people gave you. Earth is not what you think it is. Earth is a small world with a young species that fights with primitive weapons, Vex Theron said with contempt. We have studied your history. You cannot even stop fighting each other long enough to build a proper civilization. What threat could such creatures pose to us? That is exactly the threat, Kate said quietly. We cannot stop fighting each other because fighting is what we do. Fighting is what we are. Every human has war in their blood. Every human knows how to kill. Every human will die before they surrender. Vex Theron straightened up and turned back to his officers. The human speaks nonsense. Prepare the fleet for departure. We launch in 5 days. This conquest will be swift and absolute. Zixnala brought up new displays on the command screens. Sir, what should we do with the human population after we achieve victory? Our mining operations will need workers. Those who survive will serve as slaves in our factories and mines. Those who resist will be eliminated. It is the same procedure we have used on 17 other worlds. The humans will adapt or they will die. Kate bit back a bitter smile. The Zephyrians had conquered 17 worlds, but they had never conquered a world like Earth. Every species they had defeated before was peaceful by nature. Every species they had defeated was trying to avoid war. Earth was different. Earth was a planet full of creatures who had been preparing for war their entire history. Over the next few days, Kate watched the Zephyrian Empire prepare for their greatest mistake. 1,000 warships gathered in space around the command station. Millions of crystal soldiers boarded transport vessels. Enough weapons and supplies were loaded to conquer a dozen normal worlds. The night before the fleet was scheduled to leave, Vex Theron visited Kate one last time. His crystal body was bright purple with satisfaction. Tomorrow we begin the journey to your homeworld, General Morrison. When we arrive, your species will learn what it means to face the might of the Zephyrian Empire. Kate looked up at the alien commander with pity in her eyes. Hi, Commander, I have one last request. When you reach Earth, remember this conversation. Remember that my people tried to warn you. Remember that we gave you every chance to turn back. Warn us about what? Your pathetic species poses no threat to us. We tried to warn you about us, Kate said softly. You think you are invading a planet. You think you are conquering a world. But you are wrong. You are not invading Earth. You are waking up the human race. And once we wake up, we do not go back to sleep until our enemies are destroyed. Vex Theron's body flashed bright red with anger. Your threats mean nothing. Tomorrow your world falls. As the alien commander stormed away, Kate whispered a prayer for the Zephyrian Empire. Not because she cared about them, but because she knew what was coming. The aliens thought they were going to fight Earth's military. Instead, they were going to fight something much worse. They were going to fight the entire human race. The next morning, the greatest invasion fleet in galactic history left for Earth. 1,000 ships carrying 50 million soldiers headed toward what they thought would be an easy victory. But Kate knew better. She knew they were flying toward their doom. As the fleet disappeared into hyperspace, Kate closed her eyes and tried to sleep. Soon the Zephyrian Empire would learn why no one had ever successfully invaded Earth. They would learn why humans were the most dangerous species in the galaxy. They would learn what happened when you attacked a world full of creatures who had been fighting for 50,000 years. The Zephyrians thought they were going to conquer Earth. Instead, they were about to discover that Earth had already conquered them. They just did not know it yet. The Zephyrian fleet came out of hyperspace like a cloud of metal death. 1,000 warships spread across the edge of Earth's solar system. Each ship was bigger than the largest building on Earth. Each ship carried enough weapons to destroy a city. Together, they formed the most powerful invasion force in galactic history. On Earth, Colonel Steve Parker stood in the Pentagon's main command room. Dozens of screens around him showed the alien fleet moving toward their world. Steve had been preparing for this day his entire career. Every human military officer had been preparing for this day. Earth's governments had secret plans that were older than most countries. "Sir?" said Lieutenant Nancy Brooks from her station at the communications console. Her voice was carefully controlled to sound frightened. Long-range sensors confirm over 1,000 alien vessels. Each one is massive. I have never seen ships this big. Steve nodded grimly. Around the command room, other officers worked at their stations with practiced efficiency. To anyone watching, it looked like Earth's military was panicking. Alarms sounded. People ran back and forth. Radio chatter filled the air with confused reports. It was a perfect performance. President Linda Hayes appeared on television screens around the world. Her face was pale and her hands shook slightly as she spoke. "My fellow humans, we face the greatest threat in our history. An alien fleet of unimaginable size is approaching Earth. All military forces are ordered to defend our world with everything we have. We will not surrender. We will not give up. We will fight." Across the planet, the human response looked exactly like what the Zephyrians expected to see. Fighter jets took off from military bases around the world. Navy ships left ports and formed defensive lines in the oceans. Missile silos opened and prepared to launch. Soldiers took positions in cities and towns. Everything was visible to alien sensors. Aboard his flagship, Vexus Theron watched Earth's military preparations with great satisfaction. His crystal body glowed bright yellow with amusement. The humans were doing exactly what every other species had done when faced with Zephyrian invasion. They were showing all their weapons and revealing all their defensive positions. "Pathetic," the High Commander said to his officers. "Look how they scramble around like frightened insects. Their entire military response is visible to our sensors. No hidden weapons. No secret bases. No tactical sophistication at all. This will be even easier than conquering the Arcturus system." Sub-Commander Zix Nala studied the tactical displays with professional interest. "Sir, human forces are taking defensive positions around major population centers. Their air force appears to have approximately 5,000 active aircraft. Their naval forces consist of several hundred surface ships. No significant orbital defenses detected. And their ground forces," Vex Theron asked, "scattered across the planet in small groups. No coordinated defense strategy. No unified command structure. They appear to be preparing for individual city defenses rather than organized resistance." The first battle began over the Pacific Ocean. Earth's most advanced fighter jets rose to meet Zephyrian scout ships in the planet's upper atmosphere. The human pilots flew with desperate courage, attacking alien vessels that were clearly superior to their own aircraft. It looked like a hopeless fight. Captain Tony Martinez piloted his F-22 fighter straight toward a Zephyrian scout ship. The alien vessel was 3 times larger than his plane and covered in glowing shields. Tony's missiles bounced off the alien defenses harmlessly. The Zephyrian return fire tore through his aircraft like it was made of paper. As his plane broke apart around him, Tony ejected safely. His parachute carried him down toward the ocean while his fighter exploded in a spectacular fireball. The Zephyrian pilot reported another easy kill to the fleet command. Everything was going according to their battle plans. Similar scenes played out across Earth's skies. Human fighters attacked alien ships with brave futility. Most were shot down within minutes. A few managed to damage Zephyrian vessels before being destroyed. To alien observers, it looked like exactly what they expected. A primitive species fighting desperately against superior technology. Earth's Air Force is eliminated, reported Commander Kex Latin with satisfaction. Human losses are 97%. Our losses are negligible. Proceeding to Phase 2 of the invasion plan. Excellent, Vextheron replied. What about their naval forces? Their ships are attacking our landing craft with kinetic weapons and explosive missiles. Our shields are absorbing all damage without strain. Human naval forces pose no threat to our operations. The Zephyrian landing began at dawn. Massive transport ships descended through Earth's atmosphere like falling mountains. They landed in fields and forests near major cities around the world. Ramps lowered and crystal soldiers marched out in perfect formation. Each warrior was 7 feet tall and armed with weapons that could melt steel. Vextheron himself descended to Earth's surface in a personal transport. He wanted to witness the moment when humanity surrendered to Zephyrian power. The High Commander expected the human governments to contact him within hours to negotiate terms of defeat. Back in the Pentagon, Colonel Parker received reports from observation posts around the world. Every Zephyrian landing site was being monitored. Every alien movement was being tracked. The enemy had committed their entire invasion force to simultaneous planetary assault, exactly as Earth's planners had predicted they would. Phase 1 is complete, sir, reported Lieutenant Brooks. All enemy ground forces have landed. They are beginning to advance on major population centers. No reserves detected in orbit. Steve nodded and picked up a secure phone that connected him to military commanders around the world. All units, this is Pentagon Command. Execute Phase 2. I repeat, execute Phase 2. Show them what we really are. At Zephyrian landing sites across the globe, alien soldiers began their advance on human cities. They expected to face scattered groups of frightened defenders armed with primitive weapons. They expected quick surrenders and easy victories. They expected to be conquering a planet. What they found instead was something no Zephyrian had ever encountered before. What they found was a species that had been preparing for this fight their entire existence. What they found was 7 billion humans who had been waiting their whole lives for someone to give them a reason to show what they could really do. The trap was about to spring. The Zephyrian Empire had made the greatest mistake in galactic history. They had not invaded a planet. They had invaded Earth. And Earth was about to remind the galaxy why no one had ever successfully conquered the human race. In command centers around the world, human officers prepared to begin the real war. Not the war the Zephyrians expected to fight, but the war humans had been preparing for since they first learned to make weapons. The war that would show the galaxy what happened when someone made the mistake of threatening humanity's home. The Zephyrians thought they had won. They thought the hard part was over. They thought they were occupying a defeated world. They had no idea that the real fight was just beginning. The first Zephyrian patrol entered downtown Chicago as the sun rose over the city. 20 crystal soldiers marched through empty streets in perfect formation. Their energy weapons hummed with power. Their armor gleamed in the morning light. They expected to find terrified humans hiding in buildings waiting to surrender. Instead, they found Sergeant Chris Thompson and his squad huddled behind an overturned car. The humans looked exactly like what the aliens expected to see. Their uniforms were dirty and torn. Their weapons were small and primitive. Tears ran down their faces as they watched the mighty Zephyrian warriors approach. "Please," Chris shouted, his voice breaking with fear. "We surrender. Do not kill us, we give up." The Zephyrian patrol leader, Commander Veximoris, approached the cowering humans with casual confidence. His crystal body glowed bright yellow with amusement. This was exactly how every conquest had begun. The local defenders always tried to fight at first, then quickly realized they had no chance against Zephyrian superiority. "Your resistance is futile," Veximoris announced in perfect English. The Zephyrians had studied human languages for months in preparation for this invasion. "Surrender now and your deaths will be quick. Continue to fight and you will suffer before you die." Chris and his squad dropped their weapons and raised their hands above their heads. They sobbed with fear as the alien soldiers moved closer. The Zephyrians savored the moment of victory. This was why they fought wars. This was the sweet taste of absolute power over inferior species. That was when Chris whispered into the tiny radio hidden in his collar. The word was barely audible, but it was heard by every human defender in the city. Wolverines. What happened next took exactly 12 seconds. Chris and his squad moved with sudden, explosive violence that caught the Zephyrians completely off guard. Hidden weapons appeared from nowhere. The abandoned buildings around them erupted with muzzle flashes as concealed fire teams opened up from 12 different directions. The Zephyrian patrol never had a chance to return fire. Advanced human weapons designed specifically to penetrate alien armor cut through their energy shields like they were made of paper. In 12 seconds, 20 of the galaxy's most elite soldiers were eliminated by humans they had dismissed as primitive and weak. This same scene played out simultaneously in 200 cities around the world. In Tokyo, Major Kelly Adams led a group of fleeing civilians into subway tunnels that became death traps for pursuing Zephyrian forces. In London, Commander Ryan Bell's scattered troops reformed into coordinated strike teams that hit the aliens from every direction at once. In Moscow, Captain Helen Davis watched Zephyrian soldiers advance on what appeared to be a refugee camp. The aliens expected to find helpless families begging for mercy. Instead, they found 1,000 armed civilians who had been waiting for this moment their entire lives. The battle lasted 30 minutes. No Zephyrian survived. The reports flooding into Vexotheron's command ship painted a picture that made no sense. Zephyrian forces were being destroyed faster than they could report their positions. Elite units that had never known defeat were vanishing from contact within minutes of engaging human defenders. This is impossible. The High Commander roared as casualty reports filled his command screens. How are they doing this? Our intelligence said they had 200 million soldiers. We are facing resistance from billions of combatants. Sub-Commander Zixnala worked frantically at her station, trying to make sense of the tactical situation. Sir, human resistance is not limited to military personnel. Civilian populations are actively engaging our forces. Children as young as 12 are carrying weapons. Adults over 70 are participating in attacks. This is unlike anything we have ever encountered. But the real nightmare for the Zephyrians was just beginning. What they had triggered was not just a military response. What they had awakened was something far more dangerous than any army. They had awakened the human race itself, and humans had been preparing for this moment for 50,000 years. Dr. Alex Morgan had been a college professor before the invasion. He taught courses on ancient history and spent his free time reading books about forgotten civilizations. But when alien soldiers landed near his campus, something ancient and terrible awakened in his mind. The same instincts that had helped his ancestors survive ice ages and plagues and countless wars. Alex now led 50 students and faculty members through the ruins of Los Angeles. They moved like ghosts through the city, appearing from shadows to strike at Zephyrian patrols before vanishing again. Alex had never fired a weapon before the invasion began. Now he could field strip an alien plasma rifle in under 2 minutes. The Zephyrians made one critical error. Alex explained to his team as they prepared for their next attack. They studied our military and our governments, but they never studied us. They never studied what makes humans human. They never learned that every one of us carries the genetic memory of survivors. Across the planet, similar transformations were taking place. Office workers became guerrilla fighters. School teachers became weapons experts. Retired grandparents became tactical commanders. The invasion had not conquered Earth. It had awakened something that the Zephyrians could not understand or defeat. In the Australian outback, Captain Pete Wilson led a combined force of military personnel and civilian volunteers in a running battle with Zephyrian armored units. The aliens had superior weapons and better armor, but they were fighting on humanity's home ground against an enemy that knew every rock and tree for 1,000 miles. They fight like we fought each other. Pete radioed to other resistance groups. But we have been fighting each other for thousands of years. Every trick they know, we invented. Every tactic they use, we perfected against ourselves. They brought war to the species that created war. The Zephyrians' technological advantage meant nothing when they were outnumbered 140 to 1 by opponents who had turned warfare into an art form. Every human on Earth became a potential enemy. Every building became a fortress. Every street became a battlefield. Every day became a fight for survival that humans had been preparing for their entire evolutionary history. Back on the Zephyrian command ship, Vextherin stared at casualty reports that defied all military logic. In just 2 weeks of fighting, his invasion force had been reduced by 60%, not retreated or regrouped. Destroyed. The humans were not just defeating Zephyrian soldiers. They were eliminating them completely. How is this possible? He whispered to Zixnala. We conquered the warrior clans of Nexus Prime. We defeated the hive minds of the Spiral Galaxy. We crushed the technological masters of the Centauri system. How can one primitive species do what none of them could? General Kate Morrison, still chained in the corner of the command center, finally spoke for the first time in weeks. Because none of those species were human, Commander. You studied our military, but you never understood our nature. You came here thinking you were conquering a planet. Instead, you have awakened the most dangerous predator species in the galaxy. Impossible. You are primitive creatures with simple weapons. Kate smiled for the first time since her capture. Commander, we have been killing each other with simple weapons for 50,000 years. We have turned murder into an art form and genocide into a science. You brought superior technology to fight an entire species that has never learned how to lose. You brought war to the creatures who invented it. As more casualty reports flooded the command center, Vextherin began to understand the magnitude of his mistake. The Zephyrian Empire had not invaded a world. They had invaded Earth, and Earth was about to teach them why no species in the galaxy had ever successfully conquered the human race. 6 months after the invasion began, the war had become something beyond Zephyrian understanding. What started as a simple conquest had turned into a nightmare of constant death and terror. The mighty Zephyrian Empire, conqueror of 17 star systems, was being destroyed by a species they had dismissed as primitive and weak. Dr. Alex Morgan crouched in the ruins of what had once been downtown Los Angeles. Around him, 50 humans prepared weapons that had not existed 6 months ago. They had taken Zephyrian technology and improved it. They had studied alien tactics and countered them. They had turned the invaders' own advantages against them. The Zephyrians made one fundamental mistake, Alex explained to his team as they checked their equipment. They assumed we were like other species they had conquered. But Earth never developed a unified government because we never needed one. We had each other to fight. Take away our internal conflicts and give us a common enemy, and you unite the most creative killers in the galaxy. The evidence was everywhere. Human resistance cells had reverse-engineered Zephyrian plasma weapons in weeks. They had created improvised explosives that could destroy alien armor. They had developed new tactics that exploited every weakness in Zephyrian psychology and strategy. The humans were not just fighting back. They were evolving. In the Australian desert, Captain Helen Davis led a force of 200 soldiers and civilians in a running battle with what remained of a Zephyrian armored division. The aliens had started with 500 vehicles and 3,000 troops. Now they had less than 50 vehicles and fewer than 200 survivors. They expect us to fight like their previous enemies. Helen radioed to resistance groups around the world. Instead, we fight like humans. Every dirty trick our species ever invented, every desperate strategy we ever used against each other, every impossible victory we ever achieved against superior forces. All of it focused on one target. The psychological impact on the Zephyrians was devastating. They were a hierarchical species that fought according to rigid rules and ancient traditions. Humans fought with no rules at all. They used children as spies. They hid weapons in hospitals. They turned schools into military bases and churches into armories. Nothing was sacred except victory. Aboard his flagship, Vextherin stared at reports that made no sense. 80% of his invasion force was gone. Not captured or wounded or retreating. Gone. The humans did not take prisoners. They did not negotiate. They did not show mercy. They simply killed every Zephyrian they could find and then looked for more. This cannot be happening, he whispered to Sub-Commander Zixnala. No species has ever resisted us like this. How can they adapt so quickly? How can they learn our technology so fast? How can they fight so effectively with such primitive resources? General Kate Morrison had been freed from her chains 3 months ago, when human forces overran the Zephyrian command post where she was being held. Now she sat across from Vextherin as Earth's official negotiator. The tables had turned completely. You want to know how we do it? Kate asked the broken alien commander. I will tell you. While your people were evolving cooperation and social harmony, My people were perfecting the art of killing. Every weapon you have shown us we already imagined during our own wars. Every tactic you have used we already countered when we fought each other. But your technology is primitive. Your weapons are inferior. Your society is chaotic and violent. Yes, Kate agreed with a cold smile. Our society is violent. Do you know why? Because violence works. Our technology is primitive because we focus on making weapons instead of pretty ships. Our society is chaotic because chaos is unpredictable, and unpredictable enemies are impossible to defeat. The final blow to Zephyrian morale came not from human weapons or tactics, but from something far more terrifying. Across the planet, reports reached alien command posts of humans laughing as they charged into battle. Civilians were volunteering for the most dangerous missions. Children were asking to carry weapons. An entire species had found its purpose in war. Commander Ryan Bell led the assault on the last Zephyrian stronghold in Europe. As his forces surrounded the alien base, he broadcast a message that was heard by every surviving Zephyrian on Earth. This is humanity's final offer. Leave our world now and we will let you go. Stay and we will kill every last one of you. Choose quickly. In cities around the world, human forces had stopped trying to capture alien technology. They had learned everything they needed to know. Now they simply destroyed Zephyrian equipment and eliminated Zephyrian soldiers with ruthless efficiency. The war had become an extermination campaign. Sergeant Chris Thompson stood on the roof of a building in Chicago, watching Zephyrian evacuation ships flee toward space. Around him, his squad celebrated their victory with quiet satisfaction. They had done what needed to be done. They had protected their home. They had shown the galaxy what happened when someone threatened humanity. Are we going to let them leave? Asked one of his soldiers. Chris considered the question carefully. Orders are to let the survivors go. Earth wants other alien species to hear about what happened here. We want them to know what we are capable of when we are threatened. As the last Zephyrian ships disappeared into space, Vextharan's final transmission to his empire was a broken whisper that would be remembered across the galaxy for generations. Do not come to this world. Do not wake the humans. We thought we were invading a planet. Instead, we invaded a species that has never learned how to lose. The defeat of the Zephyrian Empire sent shockwaves across known space. Other alien civilizations that had been considering their own invasions of the primitive world quietly abandoned their plans. Humanity's reputation spread through the stars not as conquerors or explorers, but as something far more dangerous. Dr. Ben Rodriguez published his final report on the invasion from his office in the rebuilt Pentagon. The Zephyrian Empire made a fundamental error in judgment. They assumed that technological superiority guarantees military victory. They learned too late that wars are not won by better weapons. Wars are won by species that refuse to be defeated. Admiral Lisa Carter stood on the observation deck of Earth's first orbital defense platform, built using technology reverse-engineered from captured Zephyrian ships. In the distance, construction crews worked on new vessels that combined human ingenuity with alien science. Earth was preparing for the next challenge. Will they come back? Asked Captain Jake Sullivan as he joined Lisa at the viewing window. The Zephyrians? No. They will never recover from what we did to them, but others will come eventually. There are always species in the galaxy that think they can conquer Earth. And when they do, Lisa smiled as she watched human children playing in the park below. They were laughing and running like children everywhere. But these children had grown up during a war. These children had seen what humans could do when they were threatened. These children would be ready for whatever came next. When they come, we will be waiting, and we will remind them why Earth is not a place you attack. We will show them that humans are not a species you threaten. We will teach them what every alien civilization must eventually learn, which is that Earth is not just humanity's home. It is humanity's training ground. And after 50,000 years of practice, we have become very, very good at war. In the depths of space, the warning spread among alien civilizations like a virus. Do not go to Earth. It is not a trap you can see. It is a trap you become part of. Because humans do not just fight wars. They are war. And war never loses.